Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Pouplon, meteorologist, WisconsinWX.com. Welcome to Justin's Power Hour. Here we're going to talk about the weather. You're watching right now the loop of the last storm we had that brought around an inch of rain to the Green Bay, East Central Wisconsin area, lesser amounts south and west of that, and then about 4 to 5 inches up in that snowbelt area up near Ironwood. North of Ashland, not as much. I don't know if there was as much in Ashland itself, but yeah. So we'll let this loop one more time so you can see it. Did start that. This is the 48-hour loop, so that's Wednesday morning. You did have the fog, and then Wednesday night things moved in from the west. Yeah, I think what happened is we'll look at the forecast verification in a second, but that dry slot did kick a little bit further north. I think those last 24 hours, the models tended to keep things too far south, and that's sort of where my forecast maybe wasn't totally there. Let's take a look at the verification. This is on our website. We do this for every storm, just to look at how things kind of panned out versus what the forecast was. Now these are blues up here. Again, I don't really focus so much on what's going on out to the west, too far west, like this area. I wasn't really paying attention to it, to be honest with you. But this area is, and then I was probably too low on that too. But I was trying to really focus in on this much, the Wisconsin area, and we did have a 1 to 3 here. I may have taken that too far back southwest of Minneapolis, but really up in here is where we had that 3 to 6, and it seems like that's close. I mean, maybe a 2 to 5 would have been better up in this region, and then a wind gust of 40 up there. As far as the rainfall goes, I had this target area and I didn't go because I could have gone 1 to 1.5 inches on that zone. That's a 0.5 to 1 inch zone, the green. And then the target, just kind of like an area I think is most susceptible to the highest amounts, was just a little bit too far southwest, and it ended up being in there in east central Wisconsin again. So, yeah, the ones, I don't know what the exact amount was, but one or thereabouts, probably 1 to 1.5. And then you did have the wind gusts. Mainly, it looked like it was in lower Michigan. I don't know. Maybe they're not sending in the wind gust reports, and that's fine. But I did see hourly observation data showing about 30 mile per hour wind gusts in southern Wisconsin there yesterday during the midday and morning hours. Okay, well, let's talk about really the big thing here. And it's been the storm that's progged to happen early next week. There's been it's always a tough thing because there's a debate. There's always like, oh yeah, let's not talk about it because it's so far into the future. We couldn't possibly know what's going to happen, and I just don't support that ideology. I'm optimistic. I'm proactive, and I see that the models are showing something, and I'm gonna follow them. I don't believe that I'm smarter than any forecast model. I believe that my input is necessary to kind of differentiate the trends and what seems right versus what isn't. But I'm not going to sit here and try to predict the future just by looking out the window. I need the forecast model. And the forecast model is telling me here's a signal for a storm. So that's where I'm at. I go down this path because people tend to, like I said, oh, don't say anything. Don't do nothing. There's a storm. Blah, 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 blah. Like, no, that's not my style. Let's talk about the pattern first of all, because this is really what's driving it, and I won't go down this path if I didn't know that the upper pattern was there to support it. This is 500 millibars, so this is mid-level, mid-upper level. It's 500 millibar, I would say, during the winter is closer to the jet stream, the polar jet stream. You can see here, this is today, not exact hour, but you get the point. This is really zoomed out. Wisconsin's in this area, if you're wondering. And then if you take it through time, what you're seeing is it's kind of it's not a very organized flow across the United States at this point. There's kind of like little bundles of energy moving around, nothing really concrete. But what you see is out here in the Eastern Pacific, these positive anomalies ridging here. It's tending to create a really strong jet stream in this area, digging down in. And as time goes on, you see this even increase in terms of, just the anomalies there. Really strong ridging here, really high anomalies. And then you tend to get this like woo effect. So when you bulge it up, then you get a trough that builds, east of there. And that's what you're seeing across the western United States. That's a big old trough there, upper level trough. And as you go through time, you're just seeing that kind of play out. This right here, this would be early next week. Our storm that we're going to be talking about would be here. I don't know. It's not. Oh, because I have my mouse on the wrong screen. Right there. Whereas, and then the main trough is still hanging back. So that's been the main thing as we went through this week where, we could have gone down this major big storm path and it just seems like the model's backpedal a little bit. It's just kind of shifting the energy from early next week back. And we'll get into it as we go, and you see how that trough, then upper level trough, is just sitting there off the west coast. Eventually that's going to eject. Something's going to happen with that. This is past Thanksgiving now, November 29th, and then it finally ejects out. And then it has another nice lobe of negative anomalies there. And then that's just getting way out, way too far out. Here's the upper level jet stream, just to show you the wind speeds and what kind of happens when you have that trough building here. You see the trough comes down, digs down. This is early next week. You can see here's our storm that's going to be coming out like this. And then you have more energy building in from the north. So if you take it through time, you see that it's almost like, it's kicking it out a little too early and that the models were a little bit too aggressive with this trough that's, on this model run by next Thursday, really digging deep down in there. So it may have just been a little bit too ambitious. So we can take it through time. We see that, okay, so there's probably going to be a bigger storm in here. Just looking at this model, there's probably going to be a bigger storm in here sometime after Thanksgiving. I mean, that could be December, early December, something like that. That might be the big show. But we'll see. We won't go down that fast. What tends to happen, I've noticed, is that sometimes models want to push things out too quick, and then they don't happen. They keep pushing it back. And sometimes when you get in this cycle of pushing things back, things never happen. It just keeps getting pushed further and further and further into the future. That's my concern. I just don't think that's going to happen given the magnitude of that trough that's building up in the west. Here is a look at the model trend itself. This is really interesting, and I love doing these. Here's Wisconsin. And this is towards that Tuesday time frame, showing this is the model run earlier this week. This is what that trough used to look like. And this is why I got all hot and bothered about it, because I'm like, well, if this happens, that's a major, major thing. Okay. Now let's take a look at what happened to it throughout the week. This is closer to, let's see, this is 2 days ago. So this is probably on Tuesday. This is what it looked like. And then all of a sudden it flattened out. And we're like, oh no, things are changing. And flattens out, flattens out, flattens out, flattens out, and flattens out some more. And then now we're back to this again. And it's sort of like not necessarily gone. It's just not massive. Let's compare back to what we saw earlier in the week. This is the type of thing that can happen with models, although I'd say this is pretty extreme. Typically, when you have that big pattern, it tends to kind of concrete things in, and it's just a matter of where the details fall. You see it flattens out, and that's because it's trying to pull that energy back, pushing it back later in time. Okay, that was the so it's more of a flatter versus what this was just a world-ending blizzard. Here's the same kind of model comparison. This is the GFS from earlier in the week when we first posted. It's going to be a major storm likely. This is a huge deal. That would have been a huge, huge deal. But as time went on, you see, and the first few runs were good, and then it sort of did this, and we're like, oh no, because when you come out as major storm likely, there better be a major storm, right? And we're like, oh no, okay, yeah, so that's not good. And then it got to about this point, and I'm freaking out. But now it seems to be coming back. It's sort of like backpedaling into it a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be a major super duper thing. I think it's possible. I think you could have major amounts. So this is the latest. This is this morning's run. It's showing you basically you have that heavy snow band in here somewhere with the low track that kind of cuts through there. But this track is not solidified. So it could probably, it could probably be as far north as this and as far south as this, and we'll see how things bear out. So that's the good news, is that it does seem to be not as strong as initially progged, which is okay, but it could be back pedaling into it, and we just have to watch a little bit. Here is the European now. Everybody loves to point to the European. Oh, yes, GFS is always crazy and doing its own thing, and European is the best. And this is the European earlier in the week. Now, remember when I posted, okay, it looked like it was going to be a pretty big storm. This was what the European looked like. So it was in the same genre. And then it went through the week, and it was just all over the place. Couldn't decide where it wanted to put the energy. And here on the latest run, it's back to this again. Now, it looks a lot like the GFS. And that's backpedaling into that scenario. Now, this is going to be really hard to see. I apologize in advance. But these are like just the 20 Ensemble members. This is on weather.cod.edu. You can see how, if you just change little variables within the whole scheme of things and just kind of played around with what are the different types of scenarios that could happen, you get a spread. And this is what it's showing you. This is right now, and as we take it through time closer to next week, we're going to look at all the different scenarios. This is not the only scenarios. It's just, if we give it a spread, you might have a little bit better accuracy in terms of general regions or something. Earlier in the week, I think what would have helped our forecast about the major likely storm is just looking at this in a little bit more detail and then just kind of paying closer attention to all the models together to kind of say, okay, maybe we just hold off a little bit. But right now, this is what it's showing. It's showing that all the ensembles, I would say about half of them actually show a major storm. They do, and it's not like and then the other half is split between the 5 that maybe look like today's right now operational model, and then another 5 that are just whatever. So I just think that it's possible this could turn into a major storm still. The ensembles are there, kind of supporting it. Like I said, here's one. This one does. This one does. It's not the same track. It's a little bit further north. This one's just whatever. Okay, and then this one's sort of okay. This one. This one. This one. This. I mean, we can keep going and going and going, but they're all showing a storm for Wisconsin. So it's a matter of semantics, maybe. Major versus snowstorm. Well, none of these look major. Well, yes, it is Wisconsin. It does snow, but you have to have the context of the whole region. I don't know. I tend to say, if it's going to be major, it's got to be like a foot or more of snow. And I do see potential for that, but I think it's very early. And I think if we're going to see a foot, it's not going to be the big white swath. It might be more localized. But you get my point, right? Let's go here. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Ooh, those are big. It's just a matter of storm track. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's like most of these do have it. I mean, this one still looks like the one from earlier in the week. And then this one is kind of there. And then this one's, I don't know, it's probably just timing difference in that last one. So if you add it all up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 10 to 12 to maybe 13 of them. But maybe this helps provide context, right? Because, if you're looking at just one operational model and you have 4 runs each day, and one of those 4 runs can be one of these variations, but there's several variations. Okay, you get it. I think you get it. All right, let's turn off our checkerboard here. This is meteocenter.com. This is the cyclone tracking. This is kind of like taking that low pressure system, that big L, and then figuring out where it's located on all these different ensemble runs. And you can see there's a huge spread here. So there's nothing concrete. I still like this general region, which is pretty favorable for Wisconsin snowstorm. But we'll see how that goes. And you can just see there's a big spread there. And then the other issue I have with this particular forecast is that it's right there. They split it at 120 hours. So anything prior to 120 hours is on one view, and then anything over 120 is over on another view. So it's like cutting the storm in half a little bit. It's not giving you that full view. Okay. I don't know if I want to talk about that yet. That'll be the last thing to talk about. Okay, this is again another broader view. Wisconsin's here if you're interested. And this is all the variations between the current operational model runs. So I think the European's still on the 00Z, so that was the 6 p.m. last night. The GFS is on the midnight run, and the Canadian is, I think, on the 6 p.m. and Yeah, CFS would be in the 6 p.m. Either way, they're all showing now a storm for that time frame. They're all there. Okay. Again, it's just a matter of semantics. Is it going to be a major superstorm? I doubt it. It's possible it could back into a major storm. I think it's more of a snowstorm at this point. And you can see this region, generally speaking, they're all different on timing, all different on details. Again, this is not about details. It's more about where is the storm going to go. And then if you look at the snowfall, this is 10 to 1. And the reason I'm doing 10 to 1 is because the European data on pivotal weather is only 10 to 1. I can't get the Cucero responsive because 10 to 1. So it's like saying if you got 1 inch of rain, it would equal 10 inches of snow. I think that these snow amounts would probably be lower. The ratios would be lower because it's more of a warmer type system. That's just my gut feeling at this point. We'll see how things go. And you're just seeing the different snow swaths here. A snow swath from right across this region. Yep. So the snow is there. Now when you get to these deeper pinks and almost like purples, that's like 12 inches. So all this is saying is I wouldn't want to read into this too close. I won't say, oh, it looks like Hartford is going to get 13 inches of snow exactly right now. I'm saying within this swath, I think there might be some locally heavier amounts. It could be a foot based on today's runs. Now, things that are still on the table, things that could still happen are storms could fall apart. It could still do that. I mean, the ridge could flatten more. The trough could flatten more, and you get a weaker storm, more progressive. The other thing that could happen is the opposite. You could have a deeper trough, a stronger storm that recurves more and goes further north. So, right now, I would say that Wisconsin is definitely at the center of whatever happens Tuesday into Wednesday. And we'll just have to keep an eye on it. I won't get too crazy about it just yet. I think once we get, I hate to say it, but once we get to Monday, yes, we'll have a better idea. Of course we will. But I would say that you really shouldn't cancel anything at this point. I just keep an eye on it. I'll try to see what I can do this weekend to get a post out or two about this. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think, Tuesday, Wednesday is the travel leading up to Thanksgiving. I don't know how many people travel on the day exactly. The day itself, Thanksgiving looks good. But that day's leading up to may not be the best. Again, and then have some perspective here. I mean, the worst case scenario would be to have, I won't go back and show you, but a 12 to 30 inch zone of massive accumulations through here. Or the worst case scenario might be for like out here in the Dakotas to have, like we had in late October with 30 inches of snow. You know, that's the worst case scenario. We're not seeing that. So that's my good news for you today. I'm trying to think, is there anything else to talk about? I don't think so. And we'll keep moving on this. I'm not going to dwell too much further on it. I mean, that's the thing, you know, like I go back to this about how these things have changed over time, and you're freaking out. Like I freak out a little bit because, you know, I do believe what I'm telling you. I believe that this is a major storm. I believe the models are generally correct. I mean, they were in general agreement there earlier in the week. And then when they switch over to this, and it's like, what the heck is going on? You know, what the heck is going on? And I just explained it to you. But we'll see where things go, because that was the low point, and then as we go back into it, might be backing into that. Okay, thanks for listening. I will talk to you guys later. That's all I got for today. Peace out.